Good evening, I am Jarvis Barney with your VON Major News Package for today, Wednesday, 16th October 2019. In our lead stories nationally, Nevis's Junior Minister of Health officially commissions new X-ray equipment at the Alexandra Hospital, and St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister encourages water ministers at CWWA to explore water challenges. Regionally, Grenada to ban smoking in public places and restrict the use and sale of e-cigarettes. Internationally, President Trump says that Turkey is not his problem. And in sports, Canada beats US in CONCACAF Nations League matchup, first time in 34 years. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back on to the national news in detail. The X-ray unit of the Alexandra Hospital here on Nevis has a new direct radiography DR system, which is expected to be less tedious for members of the public. According to ScienceDirect.com, the system uses X-ray sensitive plates to directly capture data during the patient examination, immediately transferring it to a computer system without the use of an intermediate cassette. Junior Minister of Health here on Nevis, the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, officially commissioned the new system last Friday, October 11th. According to the minister, the Nevis Island Administration NIA would have spent approximately US $42,000 to improve the system at the radiology unit. Radiography is the process or occupation of taking radiographs or X-rays to assist in medical examinations. Prime Minister Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris has urged regional ministers responsible for water, as well as water experts and international partners, to use the 28th Annual Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association CWWA Conference and Exhibition to explore and address the challenges Caribbean nations face in developing sustainable water strategies. The 28th CWWA Conference is being staged under the theme, Securing the Caribbean's Future, Financing the Water and Waste Sectors. The conference is currently taking place in St. Kitts and Nevis and ends on Friday, October 18th. The forum is hosted in partnership with the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO on achieving water security in the Caribbean Small Island Developing States SIDS. In his remarks, the Prime Minister indicated that an urgent need has arisen to address water challenges by identifying priorities for action at the highest political level, building on existing partnerships. As part of a week of activities organized for International Credit Union Week, representatives from the 4 credit unions across the Federation, including the President of the St. Kitts and Nevis Cooperative League, Mr. Peter Jenkins, came together for a brief discussion on the benefits of credit unions versus traditional banks. According to Investopedia.com, a credit union is a type of financial cooperative that provides traditional banking services. Ranging in size from small, voluntary-only operations to large entities with thousands of participants, credit unions can be formed by large corporations, organizations, and other entities for their employees and members. Held on the Let's Talk program on Vaughan Radio, hosted by Mr. Everett Weber Herbert, the discussion also looked at the benefits of borrowing and saving at credit unions versus commercial banks. General Manager of the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union, Mrs. Sidney Newton, explained why the credit union was formed.
This is the reason why the credit union was formed, because there are persons who are classified as unbanked. They did not qualify to enter into the formal banking system. And so the credit union was set up to accommodate those people. But what has happened in recent times is not only that group of people has grown, there are people who are banked have now been gravitating to the credit union.
That's Mr. Sidney Newton. Marketing Services Manager of the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union, Ms. Julie Charles, gave an example of persons who switched from commercial banks to the credit unions.
When Royal Bank decided that they would start to charge persons for saving, that had a trickle-down effect for the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union, because we started getting massive deposits from persons who would have been saving their monies with Royal Bank and decided that they were not going to take on that fee.
Marketing Services Manager from St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union, Ms. Julie Charles. Credit unions across the Federation have over 17,000 members. Minister of Agriculture in St. Kitts, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, in his address to the nation to observe World Food Day 2019 today, October 16th, said the observance presents his ministry with the opportunity to draw attention to those that are hungry. He noted that as a result of unhealthy eating habits, there has been an increase in non-communicable diseases, leading to the occurrence of diseases such as diabetes, cancer, and diseases of the heart. The Ministry of Agriculture in St. Kitts is promoting healthy eating habits for this year's World Food Day celebrations, which is also in accordance with the theme chosen by the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO, Our Actions Are Our Future, Healthy Diets for a Zero Hunger World. Meantime, Nevis's Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, delivered an address to mark the observance of World Food Day.
Latest FAO estimates show that nearly 900 million people worldwide live in a state of daily hunger. Additionally, millions of people, including approximately 6 million children under the age of 5, die each year as a result of hunger. They, unlike most of us in Nevis, are unable to access food, clean water, and low-cost medical care. Here in Nevis, World Food Day is also observed to give citizens and residents a chance to join with people the world over in strengthening the struggle for freedom from hunger. And it also offers us an occasion to highlight the crucial importance of food and agriculture to our people.
He also mentioned what the Agriculture Department has been doing in light of the observance.
We are quite aware that we are what we eat, and therefore we must ensure that the food we eat provide energy so that we can engage in productive activities and that our immune system is adequately supported. Here on Nevis, if our actions are to be sustainable and ultimately contribute to the elimination of world hunger, we must ensure that we are producing as much of what we eat as possible. As such, the Department of Agriculture, alongside our stakeholders, have sought to improve the quality and quantity of production of meats, fruits, and vegetables. And most importantly, we have continued to see major improvements at our abattoir division with the introduction of new lines of products to meet the demand of our people.
The Honorable Alexis Jeffers. Minister of Cooperatives, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, says the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union uses the annual Melvin Edwards Excellence Awards to recognize the top 3 students in the test of standards examinations administered to grade 6 students within the Federation. This, he said, as he delivered an address to the nation in keeping with Credit Union Week 2019, October 13th to the 19th, 2019. The 9th Annual Melvin Edwards Excellence Award ceremony was held today, Wednesday, October 16th. According to Minister Hamilton, first place winner was Ali Sheikh Jaleem of Sadler's Primary School. Second place winner was Hannah Williams of the Seventh-day Adventist Primary School. And third place winner was Talise Connor of St. Paul's Primary School. The award ceremony formed part of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Cooperative League's Credit Union Week of Activities, which is designed to celebrate International Credit Union Day, which is slated for Thursday, October 17th. This year's theme is Local Service, Global Reach. The St. Kitts and Nevis National Cooperative League has 4 affiliate members. They are namely the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union Limited, St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union Limited, Police Cooperative Credit Union St. Christopher and Nevis Limited, and F&D Enterprise Cooperative Credit Union Limited, the latter of which recently had a name change to First Federal Cooperative Credit Union Limited. And lastly, in our national news segment, the Caribbean Women in Leadership CIWIL has announced its first country chapter formed in St. Kitts and Nevis. The inaugural chapter based in St. Kitts and Nevis represents an inclusive and diverse group of women from across the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis involved in promoting capacity building and networking among women representatives and decision makers as political and professional representatives across the Federation. Members of the inaugural chapter are Telka Daniel Wallace as chairperson and country representative on CIWIL's regional board, Nima Hazel as vice chairperson, Natasha Gray as treasurer, Willis Percival as secretary, and Rhonda Nisbet Brown as public relations officer. The election took place after a two-day capacity building workshop for general election candidates hosted by CIWIL in partnership with PAL Americas and held on October 9th and October 10th at the Sugar Bay Club Suites and Hotel, Frigate Bay, St. Kitts. The goals of the local chapters include broadening perspectives on women's political participation, facilitating inclusive, strong community level engagement, creating women-only spaces, and building partnerships across political and professional lines. And that's it for our national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, or you can check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Life can be more fulfilling when we take the time out to smell the roses. And that's why your friends and family at the Bank of Nevis are experts at picking the flowers that best describe you. Whether you're planning to treat yourself after a long work week or finally getting around to that closet update, you deserve all the special things that life has to offer, and the Bond Visa card is here to help you achieve it. With just a swipe, you can turn a last-minute lunch date with friends and family into something worth remembering, with memories that will last a lifetime. Pampering yourself just got a whole lot easier, and after all, you deserve every refreshing moment of it. The ability to make your travel arrangements at your own convenience, whether by sea or by air, now rests within the palm of your hand. With a single swipe, the Bond Visa card can put a world of difference between life and truly living, whereas the only limit you may have is your own imagination. Apply today. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Welcome back on the one to the regional news. News from Grenada. The government says it will ban smoking in public places as well as restrict the use and sale of electronic cigarettes on the island. Legal Affairs Minister Kinja Maturin-Stewart, speaking at the end of the weekly cabinet meeting, told reporters that the Keith Mitchell administration had taken the decision to table legislation banning the use and sale of vaping and e-cigarettes in Grenada. NationNews.com quoted her as saying, "While we have not received any reports of adverse health effects of vaping from our nationals, we have seen some worrying trends and we cannot as a government wait until we have an issue on our hand." Grenada has already in place a policy banning smoking in government buildings as well as schools and hospitals, and Maturin-Stewart said that public space will now be defined as areas where the public congregates, including beaches and recreational areas like parks and playgrounds. In Dominica, leader of the opposition Lennox Linton has shown a security recording at a live public meeting that exposes an earlier video as a fraud. In what Linton referred to as a staged and fraudulent setup to put him in a bad light, the video had depicted a suitcase which some insist contained a large sum of money being placed at Lennox Linton's residence. Mr. Linton, at a public meeting on the Bayfront, showed a video of a Caucasian man entering his yard and dropping off a black suitcase on his doorstep but leaving with it. There was also another video with the same man repeating the act, but instead leaving the suitcase on his doorstep only to have another Caucasian man yanking it off Linton's doorstep moments later. The opposition leader's home is protected by CCTV cameras, both inside and outside, says DominicaNewsOnline.com. He also showed proof that the incident was happening at the same time the UWP was on the Bayfront during the launch of one of its candidates. The video provides evidence that neither Linton nor his wife were home at the time. The UWP claims that via the investigation they have found evidence that identifies the men as British nationals that the UWP alleges were paid by the Dominica Labour Party DLP to carry out what Linton called mischief during the elections. The International Organization for Migration IOM has launched a US $10 million appeal to assist the Bahamas as the country continues to recover from the devastation brought on by Hurricane Dorian just over a month ago. The funding will support IOM operations in areas such as camp coordination and management, provision of shelter and non-food items, and emergency evacuations through April 2020. Hurricane Dorian caused widespread devastation on the islands of Abaco from Marsh Harbor to the north and Grand Bahama from Pelican Point east to McLean's Town, leaving behind a trail of destroyed infrastructure, said IOM officer Nazif Alou. Hurricane Dorian hit the northern Bahamas from September 1st to the 3rd, devastating Abaco and Grand Bahama. Thus far, according to weather.com, the death toll has now risen to 61. Meanwhile, Bahamas Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest has announced that US $10 million will be taken from the dormant fund to help small businesses in Abaco and Grand Bahama, which are impacted when Hurricane Dorian slammed into the two islands last month. Out of Barbados, the National Council on Substance Abuse NCSA is supporting government's initiative to legalize and create a platform for the issue and handling of licenses for medicinal cannabis in its regulating regime, Caribbean 360 says. However, Chairman Hadford Howell says the agency is still advocating against substance abuse or misuse. There is a difference between medical marijuana and recreational marijuana. Medical marijuana will help persons who may be suffering from all sorts of diseases, he said. Minister of Home Affairs Edmund Hinkson said that legalizing marijuana for medical purposes is what a large segment of the public has been calling for years, particularly persons who are ill or have disabilities, and we cannot go against that tide, he said. Hinkson said full discussions by a joint select committee of Parliament had wrapped up with tremendous input given from the public orally and in writing, including from the NCSA. And international credit ratings agency Standard & Poor's S&P says the Bahamas may actually be able to recover from the catastrophic Hurricane Dorian without too much economic fallout. It said in a recent bulletin that early signs suggest the country is well positioned to handle the fallout, emerging without any meaningful deterioration in the economy, fiscal performance, debt burden, and external assessment. It added that Dorian's long-term impact on credit quality could be limited, particularly if the government responds in a timely manner to various challenges. That is the case, S&P said, although the Category 5 hurricane last month devastated Grand Bahama and Abaco in the northern part of the Bahamas, which account for 15 to 20% of gross domestic product GDP. And that's it for our regional news segment. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now on to the international news. President Donald Trump has said it is not our burden if Turkey enters Syria, calling the former U.S. allies, the Kurds, no angels. The U.S. is facing intense criticism for withdrawing its forces from Syria, which some say gave Turkey the green light to launch a cross-border offensive against Kurdish-led forces. Mr. Trump told reporters at the White House the U.S. is not a policing agent. More from the BBC's Chris Bucker.
President Trump said it was strategically brilliant for the United States to have moved troops out of northern Syria and that it was time for American soldiers to go home. US Vice President Mike Pence and the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo are flying to Ankara to meet President Erdogan. But speaking at the White House, Mr. Trump appeared to suggest that it was not an issue America should be involved in, stating that Turkey invading Syria was not their problem. And he said the Kurds, who were American allies in the battle against the Islamic State group, were not angels and knew how to fight.
France has condemned the arrests by Iran's Islamic Revolution Guard Corps, IRGC, of an exiled Iranian opposition activist based in the country. The French Foreign Ministry says Rouhalo Zam had refugee status in France. He was arrested for allegedly using a messaging app to stir up dissent. Mr. Zam was guided into the country as part of a complicated intelligence operation, the IRGC said. It is not clear where or how Mr. Zam, who was said to be living in Paris, France, was detained. The BBC's Hugh Schofield reports.
The events leading to Mr. Zam's capture by Iran's Revolutionary Guards remain obscure. The French government says that he had refugee status in France, but he was free to come and go, and he left France last Friday. Le Figaro newspaper reports that Mr. Zam had come under the influence of a young woman sent by the Revolutionary Guards. She persuaded him to fly to Iraq for a meeting with the Shiite leader there, Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani. According to this report, Mr. Zam was then captured by Iranian agents in the city of Najaf.
The future of Boris Johnson's Brexit deal hangs in the balance, as EU officials say the outcome of talks should be known by the end of the day. European Council President Donald Tusk said he would have bet on a deal 24 hours ago, but certain doubts had appeared on the British side. The Prime Minister has been trying to get the Democratic Unionists on board for his revised plan for Northern Ireland. He is in a race against time to get a deal before Thursday's EU summit. Mr. Johnson has been updating his cabinet on the state of the negotiations after further talks with the DUP, whose support is crucial if Parliament is to approve any agreement. The BBC understands ministers were not briefed on the full contents of the proposed deal because the situation in Brussels is still fluid. And U.S. Democratic White House frontrunner Elizabeth Warren has been fiercely attacked by rivals in a live TV debate. They accused the senator of refusing to say whether she would raise taxes. Two other frontrunners were also feeling the heat. Joe Biden denied any wrongdoing in Ukraine, while Bernie Sanders sought to allay health doubts after a heart attack this month. The Democratic winner will take on President Donald Trump, a Republican, in the November 2020 election. According to the BBC, the debate in the electoral battleground state of Ohio was the most crowded so far in the Democratic race, with all 12 White House hopefuls squaring off in the primetime forum. Snapping at the heels of the packed leaders, Pete Buttigieg, mayor of the town of South Bend in Indiana, California Senator Kamala Harris, and Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar came out fighting on Tuesday night. And that brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
Just VAT. TDC Automotive is giving you more. Pay no VAT on the first $50,000 on any vehicle. No deposit, no interest for the first 3 months. That's no VAT. No deposit, no interest. We give you more, so you save more. Receive up to $3,000 in cashback credit. Save up to 60% off your insurance premium. Get your personalized TDC token for 2 years of instant savings. Plus, save thousands in free extras. Get more than just VAT from TDC Automotive. We're number one for a reason. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back and now on to the sports. In football, the U.S. men's soccer team lost to Canada for the first time in 34 years, allowing second-half goals to Alphonso Davies and Lucas Cavallini in a 2-0 defeat Tuesday night in the CONCACAF Nations League. The 21st ranked U.S., coming off last week's opening 7-0 home rout of Cuba, had 9 wins and 8 draws against Canada since a 2-0 exhibition defeat at Vancouver, British Columbia in April 1985. Is still trying to climb into the top 6 in the region in FIFA rankings, which will be used next summer to determine the nations in the hexagonal direct qualifiers from the North and Central American and Caribbean region for the 2022 World Cup. The US and Canada meet again on November 15th at Orlando, Florida, and the US faces Cuba 4 days later in Georgetown, Cayman Islands. In cricket, England's extraordinary win over New Zealand in the 2019 World Cup final will never be repeated after the boundary count-back rule was abolished in ICC events. After both sides hit 15 in the super over, a 1-over shootout, England won because they had scored more boundaries in the match. The super over in the semi-finals and finals will now be repeated until one team has scored more than the other. Group games will have a super over as well. If the super over, which previously only applied in the knockout stages, is tied in the group stage, then the match will be a draw. The ICC said the super over is an exciting and engaging conclusion to the game and will remain in place, covering all games at both ODI and T20 International World Cups. Also resulting from the ICC board meeting in Dubai, prize money for ICC women's events will be increased by $2.6 million. In athletics, this week marks the opening of the voting process for the 2019 World Athletes of the Year ahead of the World Athletics Awards 2019 in Monaco on Saturday, November 23rd. The nominations of 11 athletes reflects the remarkable range of exceptional performance that the sport has witnessed this year at the IAAF World Athletics Championships in Doha and in the Diamond League and in road and cross-country events. The nominees for 2019 Female World Athlete of the Year are Beatrice Chepkoch, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, Katarina Johnson-Thompson, Sifan Hassan, Bridget Kosgei, Maria Lasitkene, Malaika Mihambo, Dalila Mohammed, Salwa Eid Nassar, Helen Obiri, and Yulema Rojas. A 3-year voting process will determine the finalists. The male nominees were announced on Monday, October 14th. In tennis, teenager Coco Gauff was knocked out of the Luxembourg Open in the first round just days after winning her maiden WTA title. American world number 71 Gauff, 15, was beaten 6-4, 6-love by Russian 8th seed Anna Blinkova in just 59 minutes. Gauff became the youngest player to win a WTA title in 15 years in beating former French Open champion Jelena Ostapenko in the Linz Open final. In more football, the president of the Bulgaria Football Union, Borislav Mihailev, has resigned. Bulgaria Prime Minister Boyko Borisov called for him to quit on Tuesday after the racist abuse of England players in the Euro 2020 qualifier in Sofia. Monday's match, which England won 6-0, stopped twice because of racist behavior by home fans, which included Nazi salutes and monkey chants. The BFU said the move is a consequence of the recent tensions, but did not mention racism in their statement. The statement said the tensions had created an environment that is detrimental to Bulgarian football and the Bulgarian Football Union. Added that Mihailov expresses his firm readiness to continue helping in the development of Bulgarian football in every possible way. Earlier on Tuesday, the Bulgarian Prime Minister strongly condemned the fans' behavior and called for Mihailov to resign immediately. Before the match, Mihailov had complained to UEFA about unrest branding after the build-up was overshadowed by fears England's players could be subjected to abuse. And basketball superstar LeBron James has weighed in on a row between the NBA and China, saying a team manager who caused uproar with a tweet about Hong Kong wasn't educated on this situation. And that's it for sports. The weather is next. Continue to be mostly fair and cool. Tomorrow, partly sunny, becoming increasingly cloudy late tomorrow with a 70% chance of showers and a 40% or moderate chance of thunderstorms during that time. The winds northeast at 7 to 19 kilometers per hour. The seas 1 to 1.5 meters. The sunrise tomorrow will be at 6 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, 16th October 2019. But before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Nevis's Junior Minister of Health officially commissions new X-ray equipment at Alexandra Hospital, and St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister encourages water ministers at CWWA to explore water challenges, Regionally, Grenada to ban smoking in public places and restrict the use and sale of e-cigarettes. Internationally, if Turkey enters Syria, not our problem, says President Donald Trump. And in sports, Canada beats US in CONCACAF Nations League matchup, first time in 34 years. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Jarvis Bond wishing you a pleasant evening.